You're standing in Dallas-Fort Worth Airport at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, and the flight you were supposed to be on for the last 6 hours just got canceled. Your grandson is supposed to land in Tokyo day after tomorrow morning for his peer review presentation. You have a non-rev pass in your pocket, the same pass that's been your golden ticket for the last 38 years, the same pass that was supposed to make this trip free. And right now, that pass is worth less than a phone call to a taxi company. This is the part of non-rev travel nobody warns you about. The airlines don't mention it in the retirement briefing, your pilot buddies don't talk about it at the golf course, but if you've been in the industry long enough, you know exactly what's about to happen. Non-rev standby travel works like this. You get a pass, you show up at the airport, and you hop on flights that have empty seats. Sometimes up front, in business or first class. It's incredible when it works. A $12,000 ticket to Tokyo becomes a cup of coffee and a parking fee. But here's what the retirement pamphlet doesn't tell you. You are literally the last person the airline cares about. The gate agent sees you coming, and you're not revenue. You're inventory management. You're the seat that gets filled if, and only if, nobody else wants it. The problem gets worse the moment you need to be somewhere. Most retired airline employees think non-rev protection kicks in during a crisis. Outside of death, it doesn't. There's no special phone line, there's no priority rebooking. You follow the same standby list as everyone else, and that list has a strict pecking order. At the top is the standby passenger who booked a confirmed seat and still missed their flight. They board ahead of every non-rev, no matter what pass is in play. Below that sits the D1 vacation pass, capped at just 6 uses a year for active employees and retirees alike. If an active employee's family and a retiree are both flying on D1 vacation passes, they sit at the exact same level, and it comes down to who listed first in the previous 24-hour window. Drop below D1, though, and the two groups split apart. The active employee's family flying on a standard D2 pass ranks above the retiree who isn't riding a D1. That retiree falls to a D2R, very near the bottom tier. Down there, D2R is D2R no matter the reason. A vacation D2R is equal to any other D2R, and D2 always boards ahead of D2R, full stop. So when that Tokyo flight canceled, you got bumped behind 12 revenue passengers who bought tickets yesterday, behind whichever D1 traveler happens to be listed, and behind any D2 family members, leaving you sitting in the D2R pool, staring down a 36-hour wait for the next available flight to Tokyo. This is when most people panic. But here's what separates the veterans from the first-timers. You have options, but you have to know where to find them. The first move is not to go back to the gate agent. They have no power here. They literally cannot rebook you on another airline. What you need is real-time operational information. You need to log into your travel planner portal, and for that, you at least need the mobile app. But this is where my 38 years kick in. The phone app is fine for routine things, checking in, looking at listing status, but now you need more. I always bring my laptop because of variables I'm about to mention. Once you're logged in, start searching for combinations. The most logical move is to search the city pair that just canceled, DFW to NRT. You probably already checked nonstop flights, so now I want you to try other combinations. For example, since it was Dallas to Tokyo that canceled, I'd try Dallas to Los Angeles to Tokyo Narita, or Dallas to San Francisco to Tokyo's Haneda Airport. A multitude of combinations exist, but time is not on your side. After a quick search, get further outside your box. Try your airline's code share partners through the Z system. This is why a laptop is worth carrying. In my case, that's One World Alliance, and the obvious choice would be booking Japan Airlines. But obvious tends to fill flights fast. That's most likely where the gate agents are already placing those revenue passengers who can't wait the 36 hours. Oh, you're a retired airline employee? You think way outside the box to get to your destination. As we have shown in other videos, you spot the path, and like a leopard stalking a gazelle on the Serengeti, you pounce over to Terminal A and list on American Airlines flight AA2931 to Los Angeles. Made it. Now you list for the rest of this wide open route. Once you're in LA, you'll pick up a Fiji Airways Airbus A350, flight FJ811, nonstop to Nadi. A quick aircraft change in Fiji puts you on flight FJ351, an Airbus A330, direct to Narita. Everything is wide open, even up front. You're set. And then the dreaded announcement comes. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just been informed by air traffic control that Dallas-Fort Worth Airport is closing due to severe thunderstorms in the area. Our estimated departure time for American Airlines Flight 2931 is in 90 minutes. Tornado Alley has just delayed your LAX flight, and you're going to miss your Nadi connection. The next available seat to that region is nearly 2 days out. This information is real. This changes your math. Now you're making a decision that most travelers never have to make. A paid ticket to Tokyo leaves in 2 hours. It costs $840. You have a non-rev pass to Tokyo that's useless for the next 36 hours. That's probably not happening because the timing won't work. Or, and this is the trap, you can buy a one-way ticket and eat the cost, knowing that you saved money on the inbound flights and you're still ahead financially. But that's not really the decision you're making, is it? You're actually deciding whether your grandson's peer review paper is worth more than proving that the pass still works. You're deciding whether you're the person who says, "I got there anyway, non-rev," or the person who says, "I made a choice." Here's the thing that separates experienced non-revs from casual ones. They've learned that the pass is not a guarantee. It's a gamble with a 90-day window. The airlines changed the rules in 2019 to compress standby listings. What used to be a standby list of 5 people is now a standby list of 12 because planes got filled with crew members, employees' families, and revenue passengers who bumped up. The pass didn't get worse. The system around it got more crowded. And if you retired before 2017, you probably think the system works like it used to. It doesn't. The real nightmare isn't missing one flight. The nightmare is realizing halfway through your retirement that your non-rev pass has an invisible expiration date. Not in the legal sense. You can use it for life. But in the practical sense. As you get older, your personal risk tolerance for missing a flight goes down. If you're 73, sleeping in an airport is not a win. Missing your grandson's defense is a scar. The pass that was supposed to fund your retirement travel is now a liability because you're emotionally invested in actually arriving. There's a phrase in the non-rev community, you don't have a trip until you have a confirmed seat. This is stated like a mantra, and it's true. But what most retirees don't realize is that this statement is already admitting defeat. It's saying the pass is not a trip, it's a possibility. You've been trained to think of it as a trip. You've been planning around it as a trip. You've called your family and said, "I'm using my non-rev pass," like that's equivalent to "I'm coming." By the time you're sitting in Dallas at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, you've already made the emotional commitment that you're going to be in Tokyo tomorrow. The airline made a different commitment to fill seats for revenue. The worst part? You know this is coming. Every airline employee knows this is coming. The moment you pick up that pass, you're aware of the risk. You've lived the system. You've watched passengers get bumped. You've seen the standby lists grow. But you take the pass anyway, because for 38 years, it's worked. You've gotten to Paris. You've gotten to Cancun. You've gotten to Tokyo maybe 5 times before this trip, and you've never waited more than one connection. The math changes when you have one shot. There's a document in most airline crew lounges called Standby Procedures and Pass Guidelines. It exists in every major airport. It is aggressively vague about what constitutes a standby eligible flight. This is intentional. The airlines want flexibility. What you'll discover if you actually read it is that during irregular operations, and a cancellation qualifies, the airline has the right to prioritize its own rebooking over non-rev passes. You're not just behind revenue passengers, you're behind the airline's own scramble to recover from the mess they created. So you're standing there in DFW, and you have a choice that isn't really a choice at all. You can gamble on the next non-rev flight, 36 to 48 hours, maybe you get on, maybe you don't, and hope you still make it to Tokyo before the presentation ends. Or you can buy an $840 ticket and arrive with certainty, knowing you've already spent time on a non-rev pass you won't use, and now you're out $840. The airlines are banking on the fact that most people won't do the math until they're stuck. By then, you're emotional. By then, the pass feels like it cost you something, so you're less willing to waste it by not using it. You keep gambling, the next flight gets pushed, then the next one. By the end of day 2, you've spent $1,200 trying to honor a pass that was supposed to save you money. This is the non-rev nightmare that nobody tells you about. And here's the part that makes you feel sick. The airlines know this. They've designed the system to work this way. They give you a pass that feels like freedom, but operates under their complete control. You get to feel like an insider, like you've earned something special. But the moment you need it to work, you're a standby passenger like everyone else. Except you're paying the emotional cost of being reminded that you're no longer an employee. The retirement briefing should say this: your pass is a tool for flexible travel with zero financial obligation. The moment you need to be somewhere, it stops being a tool and becomes a lottery ticket. Most people never read that because it's printed in 6-point font on page 47 of the employee handbook. By the time you're retired and excited about non-rev travel, you've already convinced yourself the odds are in your favor. They're not. They're in the airline's favor. They always have been. The pass doesn't fund your retirement travel. It funds the airline's flexibility. If this story meant something to you, hit subscribe and drop me a comment. Where were you stranded, and what horrors have you endured? I've got plenty more where this one came from.